The reason why you're missing out on your chest gains is simply because you don't know how the chest actually works. Understanding how the chest works is gonna give you a better understanding on how to move your own chest. Imagine getting like a set of tools and you didn't get the instructions. And this says, you know what, have at it, see if it works. And you might get it to work, for sure. You can definitely use that tool, whatever, and you can probably get it to work, but getting it to properly work makes the biggest difference, because making it properly work is gonna make you that much more efficient. So we're gonna dive into understanding how the chest works, from what it actually does, what it's intended to do, and how to load it properly. So understanding how the chest actually moves, you will understand how to load the chest properly. So what does the chest do? What is it intended to do? Well, few things. Number one, the chest does shoulder flexion. That's basically from your hand going from here, coming up, raising up. If you're gonna do yoga, shoulder flexion. It also does shoulder horizontal adduction. What does that mean? That means when you're on your back, horizontal shoulder adduction. It also does shoulder adduction. And the difference between shoulder adduction and horizontal adduction is shoulder adduction is a combination of shoulder flexion, holding my arm up, and then being adducted at the same time. It also does internal rotation. And last but not least, shoulder extension from a flexed position. Well, now we know what the chest entirely does. Where do these places originate? Well, the pec minor, clavicle head of the pec, starts at the clavicle or the collarbone and attaches to the front part of your shoulder bone or humerus. Your sternal head of your chest attaches to your sternum and also joins over to our shoulder bone or our humerus. And your last one would be your abdominal wall that attaches underneath and comes right back to the front of the humerus as well too. All three of those do three different things, but they are all going to do the same thing at once, which is shoulder adduction. So the pec minor or the clavicle head of your chest is responsible for shoulder flexion, which will be coming straight out, but as well as shoulder flexion and shoulder adduction. All heads of your pec are all going to share internal rotation, so we're not going to emphasize that just of yet. But either way, the sternal head of our pec does shoulder adduction. It assists with the shoulder flexion, but not as much as the clavicle head of the pec, but they both do shoulder adduction. You want to blow your chest up? Grab my Ultimate Push-Pull Legs Training ebook right now in the link in the description below and get your chest gains right now. If you want to fill that chest right out, grab the Final Diet as well. Now that good old abdominal wall that everybody's arguing about is going to do primarily shoulder adduction as well as shoulder extension, but only from a flexed position, meaning it has to be challenged for it to be activated, because if I just do like this and drop my hand, there's no activation in that part of my chest. So I have to start from here for there to be a load for me to pull this thing down. So the abdominal wall of my chest is going to help shoulder extension and shoulder adduction. Okay, so now we have a grasp on what the chest does in terms of where it originates and how it moves. Loading it is gonna make the biggest difference now that we understand how it actually works. So let's put it to action. So I'm gonna go through each exercise using dumbbells so you can see how the angle is going to affect where the muscle is loaded. Based on gravity, because dumbbells can only be really challenged by gravity, you'll be able to see exactly how certain angles or inclines is going to load the pec differently. So, starting with incline press. So, when we're talking floor to core, that's not stacking the joints and we're pulling up. If you look at right now, gravity is pushing straight down on my chest. Because my bench is angled, my chest is being challenged this way. So you guys gonna understand, the reason why incline is going to affect my clavicle head of my pec or pec minor is simply for this reason. When I'm sitting in an incline, for me to put my hands up in position without dumbbells, I have to do shoulder flexion to get it where it should be. Now that I've done shoulder flexion, and we're looking at gravity, right now gravity is only gonna be pushing down this way. So the only way my hands will stay in this position here is if I flex my chest in order to bring it up this way. And if I let go, it's either gonna come down this way or it's gonna drop this way. It's not gonna go back this way. Hey, what's up? A lot of you guys are watching the videos but not subscribed, so do your boy a favor and subscribe to the channel. Also hit that post notification button as well too. So next time I drop a video, you'll be the first ones to get it. And hopefully by now you guys like the video. So if you do, hit that like button. Back to the show. Because again, if we're pulling our weight hands up to gravity, this is where it's going. Gravity is going straight down. In order for my hands to go this way, it has to be flexed to be in this position. So if I keep myself flexed and stand up, this is what my hands look like. So I'm basically doing this, but I'm loading it like this. So I've kicked each dumbbell up from floor to core, tight core, pushing the weight up. Stacking my joints. Stacking the joints means my fists, wrists, and elbows are gonna stay underneath the dumbbells the entire time. At the bottom here, we've created horizontal shoulder adduction. We've created shoulder abduction away, and then pushing the weights in from this position will be horizontal shoulder adduction. The chest is pulling my shoulder bone in. And while it's doing that, my clavicle head of my chest is activated to keep the weights above my head right here. So from this plate position, stacking my joint, my fists, wrists, and elbows are underneath the dumbbell the entire time. I'm creating shoulder abduction, going away from my body, staying underneath, and then from here, pulling my shoulders together is horizontal shoulder adduction. A shoulder adduction, horizontal shoulder adduction, as well as shoulder flexion. All right, so the sternal head of your chest, or would say the pec major, is primarily going to do horizontal shoulder adduction. Because I am on my back, I am still doing shoulder flexion, but not as much because, again, from here, gravity is pushing me straight down. I'm not being challenged as much to have my hands come up as they would if I was like this, because now gravity is pushing them this way even more with weight. So being on my back, horizontal shoulder adduction. And that's gonna come from primarily my sternal head of my chest. So doing anything flat bench is gonna primarily come from the sternal head of my chest, or the pec major. So creating shoulder abduction and then shoulder adduction. So the chest, the sternal head of my chest, the muscles going from my sternum to my shoulder are pulling my shoulders in. And last but not least, we have decline. And decline is gonna hit the abdominal wall of our chest, because that's gonna primarily do shoulder adduction as well too, from a horizontal position, shoulder adduction, but it's also doing shoulder extension from a supinated position, basically being on our back. And the abdominal wall of our chest is gonna do shoulder extension as well, in the fashion like this, when you're doing dips. And now we have a better grasp of how the chest works, where it's located, what it does, and how to load it. Then we can expand our chest directly now that we know how to load it. So if you think about different ways to load your pec minor, think anything incline, incline dumbbell, incline barbell, incline Smith machine, incline dumbbells. Your pec major, anything flat, flat barbell, flat dumbbell, flat machine, flat Smith machine, even just push-ups. If you're looking to fix the underboob diet, but you can also do decline bench, decline dumbbells. My favorite is always gonna be my go-to dips, and even using cables for each one of those as well too. So we're looking at cables. If you wanna hit the under part of the chest, think of going high to low. And if we're talking cable accessories for chest, where you set up the cables is going to load the chest differently. So if we wanna hit the under part of our chest, we're gonna go from high to low. Shoulder adduction as well as shoulder extension. If we just wanna hit the middle part of our chest, or the pec minor, anything mid-level is going to hit your pec major as well too, in the sole pec deck. And then if we're trying to hit our upper pecs or pec minor or the clavicle head of our pec, anything coming from low to high. Shoulder adduction with shoulder flexion. And that is it for today's video. Hope you guys have a better understanding of how the chest works. And if you do, let me know in the comment section below, and anything else you want me to go over, let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, guys, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.